What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be doing a how-to tips, tricks video for Heroes of the Storm. An easy game to play, but harder to master. But with these tips, hopefully you can climb out of bronze, silver, gold, get into the higher ranks, and have a great time and impress all your friends. In this segment, we are going to be going over stutter stepping and quick cast. So stutter stepping is the act of your character moving while still attacking, as portrayed like this. What it does is that it lets you still be mobile and you can still chase enemies while also avoiding attacks and like that. We kind of can dance around these minions, try to get back into position since we're out of position, but we're also still doing something instead of just running around like this and not contributing anything. I should take that. Stutter stepping is actually really important for certain characters. Like Vala is probably the easiest one I have the time doing stutter stepping on, just because it's pretty simple. She's ranged. Some champions are harder to stutter step with, like really fast auto attacks like Illidan or stuff like that. But stutter stepping will save you, it'll net you some kills, pretty much the whole 9 yards, because without stutter stepping you're standing there like this. And if they come and engage on you, you can't do anything. Like, if this is a real game, this guy would just be all over me.
Rather entertaining.
But if you're moving,
No one else dies by your hands.
especially if you're moving around like this, it makes it harder for them to hit you with skill shots and other things instead of just standing still like this. If I just stand here, and then, oh no, I'm stuck in his slow now. But
Enemy slain.
so stutter stepping, do it. It's pretty great. It'll save you, like I said, get you kills, put you back into position while also still being able to contribute to your team and dish out some damage.
Well done.
Ooh-wee.
Well fought.
Okay,
Untouchable.
now let's go over quick cast settings. I personally always am using the on function for quick casting, which lets you pretty much just hit your Q or your W or E or R traits, whatever. You hit it, and wherever direction your mouse is going, your cursor is where the ability will go. So if we turn it off, it shows us targeting reticles, like this. And what you have to do is you hit your ability, so you hit the Q, you get the targeting reticle, and then you have to click. And with this, it's also harder to stutter step, because as you can see I get this little plus. I know, it doesn't show up on my screen. Interesting. But I get a plus, and then I have to click over here, instead of just being able to hit your A. And it's just more inputs. Like this, I could have already rolled, W'd, and Q'd by the time I launched this off. Just without quick casting on.
Let none survive.
See, I'm hitting these abilities, and now there are some abilities where I have
That was rather
the
entertaining.
targeting reticles turned on, and it's just because I don't really play the champions a whole lot. Like Zul'jin's spinning axes, I always have a hard time with, and Jaina's Ring of Frost. It's pretty much the same slim outer circle things, and I have them on. Also, now that I mentioned that, you can, right here in this section, you can turn on based on what you want. So if you want Hungering Arrow to have the targeting reticle and nothing else, you can do that. you can do whatever you want. Your whole thing's in here. You can have certain talents like this, your gloom that you get, I think at like 13 or something. You can just have it. Oh, well, no, you can't. I guess it depends on what your settings are. But the other option you have is on release. So let's look at that. On release, you get the targeting reticle when you hold it down, but then you let go of your W in this case, and it shoots. Targeting reticle, move. Targeting reticle, shoot. That way you don't have to click. So there's that. And it also makes your stutter step a little bit better.
I found.
The only thing though is if you click, I don't know why I was letting me shoot abilities earlier. But yeah, in my opinion, and the opinions of most people, the quick cast setting should be turned on. That way you get the most mobility.
Enemy slain. A pity.
I mean, let's just refresh it. Ability. They're about to be back up. I can't fucking find it anyway. So, like, look at that. All that in the same amount of time it took to just cast Q without quick casting.
Well
down.
done. Any last words?
So yeah, that pretty much covers this segment. So let's move on to the next one. Alrighty. In this segment, we're going to try and go over map awareness as best we can in try mode. So with map awareness, what that means is that you are aware of everything that's happening on your map, or at least you know where the enemy team is, what they can see, and what you can see. You kind of get an understanding of what they're doing, and you can make your plays based around them. So what I mean is, right now, this whole area, I have no vision in. I have no idea where their team is. This is the only area I have. So if this is a normal game, I don't know if Blaze has people up here or not. He might be baiting me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in. But I'm going to play safe. I'm going to stay near my area and just deal as much damage to this Blaze as I can. But obviously, he doesn't know.
First blood.
Okay. So now that I'm starting to get more vision, I'm starting to win my lane a little bit more, I can open it up. And what I mean by opening it up, I have more vision. I can see more now that my character's down here. My minions are moving down.
None may stand against you.
So now that Blaze is back here, I'm starting to lose a little bit of vision. And I'm going to play a little more passively, even though he's just standing there, but in a real game he'd be moving.
Well done.
So I'm going to play a little bit more passively. Now that I have my minions up here, though, I can play a little bit more aggressively.
Of course.
Map awareness is really important for every single champion on your team to be doing. But, in my opinion, it's the most important for your solo lane. Whoever's in your solo lane needs to have good map awareness on when to push and when to just go back. Because if you go all the way up here, and you're pushing, and you're having a good time, but you're not looking at the minimap, and no one on the minimap is showing, 9 times out of 10, they're coming to come and fuck you. And it's not going to be fun. There's been plenty of games where I have a solo lane champion on my team, someone's playing like Zagara or something. Zagara is a really good siege person, but she lacks escape. She lacks escape, and she's very squishy. So what the enemy team will do is they will come up behind her like this. They'll just come up behind you where you can't run away, and they will just fucking kill you.
Get on with it.
And when you're dead, you can't get XP for your team. And when you're not getting XP for your team, you're falling behind in levels. And when you're falling behind in levels, it makes it harder to win objectives and team fights. Which makes it, in the long run, makes it harder to win the game. So, when you're playing your solo lane, you want to make sure that you're always aware of what is going on the map. Especially champion movements, when objectives spawn, and when your camps are up. Wow, I missed that. But keeping track of everything on the map will help you significantly, just because you'll know what's going on. If you're sitting in this lane, and you can look down and you see that someone else is kind of pushing up on your support and your other laner, you can come down here. Just hide in the brush, come down in the shadows, or what they call it in League. I don't know if they call it in Heroes. It's the fog of war, which is like this stuff where you can't see anything. You come down in your fog of war, and the enemy team, if they don't have map awareness, you can do what I just said what you're going to do to Zagara. You just turn them around and you fuck them. You give them a good old-fashioned, get the hell out of here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. You send their ass back to Graveyard, which makes them lose XP, makes them lose levels, puts your team ahead and in a better shape for objectives. Wow, I suck. Better shape for objectives and just winning the game, setting up to win the game. So for this segment, we will be going over the camps, what kind of variety they have, and what kind of timers we were looking at for them.
Absolutely.
When to get them, and when they're going to be most effective. So camps are these little guys right here. You have siege giants, which are just siege camps. You have bruiser camps, and you have boss camp. So the siege minions, or the mercenaries as they're called in Heroes of the Storm, are a very vital part of lane pushing, and knowing when to take them is very important. In my opinion, the best times to take them are 1, when they first spawn, and 2, before an objective, away from the objective. So what I mean by that is how on Battlefield of Eternity... Oh, fuck off, Arthas. How, like, on Battlefield of Eternity, you have the two... You're fighting over the 2 angels and the demons, but you also have the fallen shaman camp, which is the guy with the stick and the 2 dogs. So, normally what you want to do is before you go and fight for the objective, you'll take your fallen shaman camp. And what it does is it puts pressure onto the enemy team as they are trying to fight for that immortal. So if you take that camp and they don't respond to it, more than likely it's going to get front walls, forts, and keeps, because it's just that strong if you're left unchallenged. So, in this case, we have siege giants. And you can actually take this camp without taking any damage now, which it didn't used to be like that. They used to throw rocks and they would just go straight to you. Really annoying, and it made it so that a lot of champions could not solo these camps because they're just too squishy. But now, as long as you're moving around and you're mobile, you can take these camps. And let's see how we can do that. Just get in there. You can see the purple circles on the ground. As long as you're using your stutter stepping, they won't be able to hit you. Or if they do, it'll be very minimal. Since I'm melee, it's kind of harder. Boom. Like 10 seconds. You take that camp, you capture it for your team. That camp's in the lane right now, pushing. So as a ranged champion, it's actually a lot easier. Like even mages like Jaina and Lei Ming and stuff like that can solo these camps when before they couldn't until late game. So what you do, same premise. You see that purple circle? Boom. You put in your stutter stepping, getting in those auto attacks, still moving. Oh, I walked into that one. But like I said, very minimal damage taken, when before you would just lose half your health. Boom, another siege camp. Now with this camp, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit harder to take, just because you can't dodge a lot of their abilities, but you can... I'm not good at it, but you can actually kite them around if you hit them and you can like go around in a circle, which I'll try to do. I'm not going to guarantee anything. If you do, you're able to still hit them while taking as minimum damage. That's the key. You don't have to take no damage, you just have to take minimal damage. So let's see what we can do here. See how they're just chasing me around? Now, I wouldn't suggest doing this camp early. Oh, fuck off, Arthas. I wouldn't suggest doing that camp very early in the game unless you have someone with you, because a lot of champions just can't take it, and that's fine. So if you're in lane and you ping, hey guys, let's do our bruiser camp, or some people may call it a hard camp because it is the harder one to take. Then most of the time people will respond, because having those people in lane, I don't know if you saw or if you can see it on this, but this guy right here, the little wizard minion, he gives an aura for your lane when you kill him, which makes you take, I think, 20 or 25% less spell damage. Really strong. You got these guys, they're pretty beefy. It's just honestly a nuisance for the enemy team to take. So with the boss minion, you're going to want your team 9 times out of 10. There are certain champions that can solo boss minions. Like, I know on Sky Temple, oddly enough, Tracer can solo the boss just because she can dance around it, kite it. Rexar can solo bosses by using Misha. I've seen Gazlo solo bosses. Illidan can mostly, I think, solo boss. He might need a little bit help from like an Abathur or another healer or something. And Twin Blades Varian can solo bosses. I'm trying to think of another one. I think Nazebo can too. It's with Gargantuan.
I fight for my
Now the boss is a super strong, powerful minion that as the game goes on, he also gets stronger. So like right now, if I were to get him and we were to push a lane, he'd probably die pretty fast. We might get these 2 turrets, but if the enemy team responds, you know, we're not going to get a whole lot of value out of him. But late game, you get those bosses, they chunk through everything. Just imagine the Treeglove Protector from Volskaya Industries, and just imagine that, but it's a mercenary camp, and it just pushes for you. You don't even have to contribute heroes or anything for it. It does a shit ton of damage, and depending on what bosses you get, depends on which abilities they can do. Just like, let's see, what kind of bosses are there? There are the Archangel on Brax's Holdout, which is the ship. You have the Grave Golem on Cursed Hollow and Blackheart's Bay, which is the one we have down here. Or, yeah, down here.
I will not accept defeat.
The Headless Horseman counts as a boss on the... what map is that? Towers of Doom. You have the Mega Enforcer on the Hanamura, but that might change because Hanamura is kind of just doing its thing now. And you have the Sand Golem on Sky Temple and Tomb of the Spider Queen. And the Slime Boss on Warhead Junction. But, yeah, getting camps is very important. Usually you want camps in your lanes when they're up. And when you're about to go do an objective, you want to get a camp far away from the objective so the enemy team has to respond to it. And, well, another example of that, now I'm thinking about it, would be Sky Temple. In Sky Temple, the first 2 shrines are always going to be on the top and the middle areas. So what you're going to do, you want to grab your Siege Giants on the bottom. That way, you put pressure on the bottom while the enemy team is trying to fight for the objective. If you can do that, then it's GG, because if they don't respond to it, you're getting extra value across the map for not even having to be there. It's amazing. So, I don't know if I went over this or not, but the camps have actually been changed a little bit since they're...
Excellent.
Since the game came out, let me rephrase. The camps all spawn. Every camp except boss camps. I'm talking bruiser camps, shaman camps, hard camps, siege camps, everything. The whole 9 yards all spawn at 1 minute into the game. So while you get your team going, you go and you get your initial skirmish or whatever your team decides to do. You go out, you get that siege camp at 1 minute. You try to get bruisers at siege giants. You try to get your siege giants or your siege camp at 1 minute, and it will help you push that lane and get XP, put pressure onto the enemy team, and a whole lot more. 1 minute. Bosses spawn at 5 minutes. Now they're not like super great, like I said in the early game, but late game you're gonna want them. So the best thing to do is push out lanes that have a boss in it. Like on Cursed Hollow, for example, you have 2 bosses. You have one in the bottom lane, you have one in the top lane. What you want to do is try to put more resources into one of those lanes that whatever your team has the boss, like the bottom one kind of goes to the left team and the top one goes to the right team. So whatever side you're on, you want to put pressure onto that lane where that boss is going to get the most value. So what I mean is push top lane, like instead of going all 5 mid, go up, take down that top lane real fast. Get some turrets down, get a wall down, something. Anything to help your Grave Golem later on for the late game.
Choose a talent.
Camps. Important? Yes. A necessity? Yes. Always do camps. In this segment, we will be talking about how to draft. What you should do, what you shouldn't do. So today we're playing Garden of Terror. What I always do, usually when I get into a game, is you start out super positive. It makes people want to play with you. So Garden of Terror is one of those maps that I have like really no good champions for personally. There's good champions for the map. I'm just not, great. But this guy's starting off pretty good. He's suggesting bans. You want to communicate with your team in draft to figure out what you guys want to do as a team. Whether you guys want to make a dive comp or a carry Illidan comp with Tassadar and Abathur and all that stuff. So he's showing stitches. So that means he wants to tank. But what we're going to need is we need a tank, usually another off tank or a warrior or something bulky, a healer, and some damage. So on this map, wave clear is pretty important. So I'm going to prioritize wave clear champions. But I'm also going to weigh my options here. Let's see here. Like they're showing Phoenix. Who's good against Phoenix? Okay, so I will actually play support. Since we're showing some more damage, I'll play Lucio. He provides sustain for the damage that Phoenix can put out. Pretty decent wave clear, is not phenomenal, but we also picked up Thrall for a solo lane. Now see, the enemy team responds with the Diablo, which is really good counter to Lucio, because Lucio is riding on the walls. Diablo likes to charge people into the walls, so I'm going to have to be really careful to make sure that I'm not doing anything wrong. So the enemy team is doing a good job at responding. they have also drafted their solo lane. But what they haven't done is they have not drafted their support. Which, in most metas, there's only going to be about maybe four really good supports at a time. In my opinion, the best supports right now are probably Stukov, Malfurion, Straza, and then maybe Deckard, maybe Lucio. I love Lucio. He's my favorite, so I picked him because he's a comfort hero for me. So we went ahead and we banned Stukov, which is a good ban because they still need a support. It limits their support pool on what they can do. If they were hovering Stukov on their team, maybe their only support player only knows how to play Stukov. That's going to be a win for us. They went ahead and banned Garrosh because we still need a tank, and Garrosh is really strong right now. The key to drafting is to make sure that you are somewhat aware of what the meta is, and what meta is just champions that are in this tier above the rest. They are the cream of the crop, the cat's ass. They're the ones that usually people will pick, like Fenix. We should have banned Fenix. A lot of people can't play Lost Vikings, but we banned based on the map. So that was fine. I was okay with the Lost Vikings pick. Fenix is just really strong. So we went ahead and picked... He switched from Stitches because he realized that not a lot of squishy people on the enemy team. A lot of people could get away.
Abandons no man.
And he responded to their draft by saying, they're going a couple melee, I'm going to pick Lyric and get some value. We got Murden, so he can dive the backline and stop Fenix from teleporting, or he can interrupt Kael'thas, or he can pick someone for us. And we're going to pick up one more champion, and it's going to be a ranged, which he recognizes that we have 3 melee. So he's like, we need ranged. And that, more or less, is how you draft. I know that's not very specific at all, but it kind of gives you an insight of how to respond to other people's drafts, pick for the map, ban certain heroes that are overpowered at the moment or that you feel really counter your comp, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, that covers that. Let's move on to the next segment. For the last and final segment, we are going to be going over when to fight and when to soak. So, I'm actually going to bring a replay from the game I played earlier. It'll be a little bit easier.
Battle begins shortly, hero.
Okay, as you can see, we have Alex Straza, Zul, Samuro, Jaina, which is me, Nazeebo, versus the enemy team, Lei Ming, Zarya, Zeratul, Deckard Cain, and Greymane. I almost called him Werewolf, I don't know why. But, so, here's where we should decide where we're going to fight. I need quest stacks. Nazeebo needs stacks. I'm not sure what this... Oh, it actually tells me in the replay. Cool. Let's see what everyone picks. You guys gonna pick talents, or you guys just gonna... Yeah, I used to pick talents. I think I picked one right here.
The gates shall open in 10
Yeah,
seconds.
there it is.
5, 4, 3.
Okay, so we're gonna pause that. So, we don't need quest stacks. I need stacks for my trait, and I need stacks for my regen globes. So, I'll get both of those in due time, so we don't honestly have to fight. Honestly, we shouldn't, because they have Zeratul, they have a lot more early game presence just within their dive, and they actually have a somewhat tanky character in Zarya. Their Deckard Cain has a quest. I don't know what he has, and she has a quest. They are the better engaging team, so we should not fight. But let's see what we do here.
2,
I think we end up actually fighting,
let the
and we
battle
trade,
begin.
I think. But in the end, they should have just... See, Nazeebo's got the right idea. We are not aware that Nazeebo is not with us. And we continue to fight. we just gave him a quest stack on me. So we get a kill, but we also, I think, lose someone here. I think I died, actually. Zeratul coming around. We just gave him more quest stacks. Gave her resets. Okay, if we pause it right there, we have had 2 heroes. No, is it just me? I think, okay, we had 1 hero die, and they had 1 hero die. But if you look at their quests, they have gotten more value out of it because they have higher quest stacks. And I think I don't even think I got a thing there. Meanwhile, Nazebo is doing the right thing and stacking up for his level 20. He has given us XP and given us the lead in XP because early XP kills aren't worth shit. Like, they're worth very minimal XP. It's actually more beneficial to be soaking all 3 lanes over the enemy team than it is to actually go here and fight. But if you have quests like they do, it is almost more beneficial to sit here and get quest stacks because they know Samuro's here. He's 3 easy quest stacks with his clones. Easy quest stack, and I'm an easy quest stack. That way, Zarya can just chunk up, get this thing up to a full no time. This guy is getting these quest stacks done ASAP, which makes them better for the late game, which is what we will be doing. But early game, if your team doesn't have quests, if your team doesn't have good engage, you shouldn't be fighting in the middle. You should instead just be doing soaking XP. Just soak the XP, and your team will be ahead, and everything will be grand. Thanks for watching the video, everyone. I know it was a little bit of a long one, and it kind of rambled on a little bit during that Siege Giant phase, but hopefully this helps you to understand a little bit more about the game. And yeah, just please leave me some likes, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this, and until next time, guys, see you.